And sir, you are telling something that politicians knew about you, so they won't give you illegal orders. How, from which point of career one should start building that image? Have you ever fought with the politicians?
Many times.
Can you tell us?
Many times.
Sir, as we are preparing for civil service, both as an aspirant or even after becoming an officer, how do you handle failures? Because it actually takes long.
Wonderful question. Let me try and explain this.
Now you are writing a book which is going to get published on the politician civil servant relationship. Many want to know this because the general perception amongst aspirants as well as public is politicians are bad, officers are good. Is it right? And tell some encounters you had in political life.
I also had this impression that all wrongs in the country are on account of politicians. And it took me about 10 to 12 years to understand that they are as good or as bad as any other civil servant. So it took some time. So initially, I remember when any politician came to me, I had that bias against him. So if you have that bias, you won't even listen to him at all. And it was gradually that I discovered that he's providing me some very useful feedback. After all, I am criticized. But why are you being biased in accepting what he's telling you? You still can take a call, you disagree with him. But if you are biased, you won't even listen to him and you deprive yourself of the input that will come. So I started understanding that gradually. And then I benefited out. Because then I developed that reputation that if you take the right thing to him, he will do it immediately. Because if you only have the reputation of not doing wrong things, and you don't have the reputation of doing the right things, then you won't be called efficient. You have to be efficient in the context of being able to do the right thing immediately. And that's why the politicians used to pick me up. Why? Because they said, if something good or right thing has to be done, he's the man. Take him up. It helps. So it helps to build a reputation of being an efficient officer. Just honesty is not enough. Honesty is a necessary condition for a successful civil servant, but not a sufficient condition. You have to be efficient. You have to deliver. And that's where, if you form a good relationship, it's not collusion, it's a good relationship. I mean, people blame politics for everything. My approach was different. In my entire career, I've not counted per se, but broadly speaking, in 90% of the cases, I made the politician agree with me. Because I could be persuasive, I could come up with facts. In 10% cases, if you overruled me, so be it, we live in a democracy. So he has to have the final say. So my approach was very simple. If anything that was told to me illegal, I will do it come what may. You do whatever you feel like. There will be many cases where I got transferred. I didn't do it. But there is a huge grey area where the law is not very clear, you have to define it. In such cases, if I had a view different from the politician, I used to try my best to convince him that this is not correct. It may not be illegal, but it's also not correct. But if he overruled it, then I would go whole hog and do what he said. I would never impose my own value system on the politician. So long as it was not illegal. If it is illegal, I won't. But if it is not legal, or if it is not illegal, then I would convince him on the basis of my own values, and then if he didn't agree with me, I'll go by his person. And that helped. Because I struck a very good relationship with politicians who knew that they can't ask me to do anything. So that's a very clear. I mean, if you come up with any incident, I tell you, I will do this, I will not do. This clarity came after 10, 12 years. Initially, I had those dilemmas. I have written this book, Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant. In my mind, that those dilemmas cease to exist after 3 years. They may exist there. But I was clear, I do this, pay a price, I do this, and I pay. Clear.
So what are the prices you have paid?
When I got transferred, that's a price. I don't want a price, but I was transferred. Initially, I used to get transferred a lot. Then, as people say, Sir, you were the senior most in the country and you had the age with you. Why didn't you become cabinet secretary?
So that is one point.
No, I don't think that I paid the price. I'm thankful to God that I became Secretary Government of India because I had my own point of view. I personally wouldn't have become Secretary Government of India because I didn't do anything wrong. Not that everyone who does wrong becomes a Secretary. Yeah, but fact of the matter is, I was uncompromising if it came to illegality. So, you can call it a price, you can call it a price. It's a personal perception. I don't call it a price because I never thought I would become Cabinet Secretary going by my temperament. I was not as accommodating as someone else. Maybe.
So you are telling that if politicians give a legal thing, you do too fast, that is efficient.
Immediately. Don't sit on a legal order. If you do that, you will create a reputation of being a very efficient officer. Not unnecessarily arguing everything. If you have to argue. But once overruled, then you don't bring your own value system. Put a spoke, spanner and put in the mask.
And sir, you are telling something that politicians knew about you, so they won't give you illegal orders. How, from which point of career one should start building that image?
It's very difficult to say which. I can't draw a line here. From day one, your reputation gets built from day one. And it gets built like a building. Once it gets built, then it's difficult to demolish. Then you can actually benefit. I benefited enormously through the reputation. Enormously. Because your reputation precedes your physical existence. Everyone knows that he likes this. For example, I had another reputation that outside the office I'm a different man. Inside the office I'm a thorough professional. I don't want to enter into a loose talk in the office. If you come to meet me and I met everyone, I don't think anyone can say I didn't give him time. Everyone got time. As Secretary Government of India, I used to respond to every message and mail within 24 hours. Anyone who asked me time was given time. But the time meant that it meant business. You come and tell me what you want, reason for it, I'll take a call. My meetings did not last beyond 45 minutes. All my meetings that I chaired, maximum 1 hour. Because I asked my people to come prepared, give the options, give pros and cons, decision taken, meeting over. So if you do that preparatory work, people ask me, how did you manage time? I was the only Secretary Government of India and I was there for 4 years to leave the office at 6 o'clock every day. People don't believe it. I left at 6 o'clock. Because it takes you to another aspect. I trusted people. Since I trusted them, I delegated work to them. I protected them. So they were happy doing work which they had to do. I never did work which I didn't have to do. So I got people to do work for me. So I left at 6 o'clock. Everyone was happy. I was also.
Were you ever someone will attack us because you are working in Uttar Pradesh?
No, I was not scared, but I was concerned. I was concerned because in those of Sikh terrorism, we had shot at 5 terrorists. I was on the spot. And I was on the hit list of terrorists. So I was not scared, but I was a bit concerned.
Can you narrate that excellently?
As district magistrate, I remember at around 10 o'clock, 10:15 or 10:30, I get a call from my superintendent of police. He said, DM Saab, terrorists have raided a small bank branch and we are chasing them. So, I don't know what struck me. I was not supposed to. I said, okay, I'll also. So he was ahead, I went in my car. And we drove for about an hour or so, where the encounter was actually happening. The terrorists had taken refuge in a cane field and it was now surrounded by force. And they were exchanging fire. And that lasted for about 15-16 hours. When all the 5 terrorists that had come were shot dead. And after that, I did not immediately, but later on, the Director General of Police informed me, you are on the hit list. So then I got shifted to Lucknow, not because of this. The government had changed and Mr. Kalyan Singh had become the Chief Minister. I became the Special Secretary and Director Information. It was then that he informed me. And then he asked me whether I want security. I said, I'm I mean, I normally roam around in a bush shirt and a t-shirt or sandals. No one will recognize me. You put a security man, they will spot me straight away. Either I walk, I go on bicycle, I'm like a common man here. No one will spot me. The moment you put a security man, I'll certainly be shot. So I can take security.
Have you ever fought with the politicians?
Many times.
Can you tell us?
Many times. I fought in the sense that it was never physical. So, right in my first posting, it was a Sunday, another incident narrated in my book. And I get a phone call. I picked up the phone myself at my residence. And there was a guy from the other end saying, "Sir, please come and save me." So I said, "What happened?" He said, "There are gundas who have come into my house and they are throwing my baggage out, they want to occupy the house." Now, how do you respond to that? I said, "You go and talk to the police. Listen, the police people, don't care whatever." "No, sir, I tried and they're not listening." Now, again, a dilemma because it's not my role. Law and order was my role, but client has said as name, it's not your role. But it was Sunday, so my driver was not there. So I drove my jeep to the local thana, not very far from my home. So the inspector, they recognized me, he saluted, said, "What can I do?" I said, "Someone is being harassed, why don't you look after him?" Then he tells me, "Sir, he's the son of the man who wants that house, is the son of the local MP, member of parliament. Sir, you also avoid." I said, "What is this nonsense? How you know that this guy is being thrown out of the house and you're not doing anything?" Sir, I said, "Okay, give me 4 constables." They started my thing. So I went there, arrested like that.
Son of SP.
I used to do these funny things. I don't know whether I'll do that now. So I arrested him. And he gave me obviously, it was very vivid and all. The next day, he was kept in jail for 24 hours and then he got his bail from there. But again, this put up a reputation. Now, this MP was very annoyed with me. But when I got transferred, that MLA got me transferred from the same district, that MP came to my residence. He said, "Sir, though you arrested my son, but we want you to stay back here." And he was not in good books with that, and they were fighting against him. Same party, they were fighting with each other. They said, "No, I'll go to Lucknow and get you transfer state." And that was the challenge. Then I told him, "No. Government has given me order to transfer, I will go. No one need, I went." So I even complying with the orders. The government job posted me where I want. Once I got posted, I did what I wanted. So these are things that, make you an officer. That was one. Then I can't call it a fight. But some of you would remember, I don't think there are too many CBSE schools here. But in 2018, there was a paper leak. CBSE, I don't know if you heard about it. You heard about it? So it became I was secretary school education at that point. And as secretary, you don't have to directly look into CBSE because it's one of the many organizations. In any case, on that day, when the paper leak happened, I was in Dehradun attending to my ailing father. So the chairman CBSE, she rang me. He briefed me on the background and she said it's a crisis situation. So I told her, "You talk to the media and tell them the facts. Because it's not your fault. Inform them." So she tells me that the minister is not permitting her to take a press conference. Then from Dehradun, I spoke to the minister. I told him, "Sir, either you hold the press conference or ask her to hold the press conference. It's unnecessarily assuming a crisis." So he said, No, it's not in fact. By evening, it had been blown up into a major crisis. So next morning, I was bringing my father on an ambulance to Dehradun to Delhi. And on the way, I tried to talk to the minister. I sent them SMS. "Please hold the press conference." He didn't do it. By the time I reached Delhi and got my father admitted in the hospital, it had gone beyond it. I mean, all news channels were coming up with all sorts of stories. So next morning when I went to meet the minister, he tells me, "Anil ji, we'll have to remove the chairman CPS." I said, "So what is the fault?" "You know it's not a fault." No, the situation will get diffused." I said, then it struck me, you have to convince the minister in your own way. Then I told him something which clinched it. You have to have that presence of mind. I told him, "Sir, right now the entire media is after chairman CPSC. He's the buffer between you and the media. The moment you remove her, the media will be after. They want you in. Oh yes, you are right." Situation clinched. We had the press conference. The children are ordered. So you have differences with the ministers. I had a lot of differences with Mr. Piyush Goyal. I remember he was coach secretary. And in one of the meetings, I had just taken over as coach secretary. In one of the meetings, he started left, right, and center on my joint secretary. And that joint secretary is today in a very prominent position. So he left, right, and center. I told him, sir, I want. He said, tell me. I said, no, I want to talk to you all alone. So then everyone was moved out of the room. Then I told him, sir, I would suggest that this is not the way to behave to the joint secretary in front of his subordinates, director, and president. What moral authority will you have to direct them? And sir, if you insist that that is the way, then I would like to move out. Then he agreed. And thereafter, he did not misbehave in any of my answers. So you have your differences. And again, if you're prepared to pay a so-called price, so
You can raise your hand because I am continuously asking. Whenever you want to, you can raise your hand. Immediately, mic will be passed on to you. Then I can keep continuing. Anyone wants to ask?
that surprises me, I'm sure.
Anything and on
You can ask me anything. I can assure you, will not throw you out of the room. Or, yeah.
So, you in your service, you have sacrificed a lot and you are.
No, I didn't. Who told you I sacrificed? I mean, is that the impression that I've conveyed? I'm here and I didn't sacrifice anything.
You have toiled for service of the people, but have you ever?
No, I did toil for the service of people also. I mean, please don't mistake me. I did it for my own good. I was a very selfish man. I am still a selfish man. I only do things which I enjoy.
Like, have you ever met with any incident where your intentions are being questioned? Like, you would have done something for welfare of people, but it would have been assumed like you did for some other way, like for your personal benefit. Like, have you ever met with such incidents?
I don't recall any because I had pretty early in my career developed a reputation that my intentions will not be questioned. You may dislike me, you may disagree with me, but I don't recall anybody questioning my intentions ever. I don't recall. I'll have to rethink. I never thought about it because there was never an instance where I thought people were misunderstanding. You know, misunderstanding happens with your friends and relatives and wives, not wives, wife. But
Have you ever met with like, I did this much, but still, like, I'm not getting that kind of respect from the
on
society.
the contrary, I'm thankful to people around me that I gave me more credit than I deserved in my career. God has been very kind, I say. I didn't deserve as much as I got. I got more than what I did. So I'm very happy. I never ever I felt that I should have got this. I should have got. I can't recall anything that. Perhaps the only desire that I had in my career was to write a book. Because I used to read a lot. I used to read about 100 books a year. So I thought I must have a book in my name. That was a desire I had. I didn't have too many desires. That helped me. Food, clothing, gadi, not many desires. What else? So I had a good life. But I did have this. And again, God has been kind. I thought I'll write one book, my fourth book is going to be released on it. So, God has been kind.
Hello, sir. So there's a saying that goes, in order to be a civil servant, you should know something about everything. You should be jack of all trades. So when did you reach that stage of knowing?
No, I was never a jack of all trades. I defined my trades very clearly and I was only master of those trades. What was that? The job of an IAS officer is to manage men and women. And I developed that trait very early in my career. How to manage men and women. Once you do that, once you have those skills to take work, once you develop certain skills for leadership, in terms of trusting people around you, in terms of delegation, in terms of providing protection, in terms of taking decisions, in terms of leading from the front, then things become easy. So right from my day one, I remember, I focused on developing those leadership traits. And I still stand by it that don't try and become jack of all trades or expertise in leaders. It's all nonsense. You should know how to understand people. And of course, you have to work hard to begin with. You understand the job that you're doing. You don't have to become a jack or whatever.
Jack or Jill.
When did you reach that stage of knowing something about everything, whether during your preparation or after you became a civil servant?
No, I was very focused man. I'm still a very focused man. So when I was preparing, I couldn't care less what the job was. So when people ask me about the job, then I couldn't care less. I've decided, no, I'll work hard to get into the civil service. Once I get into the civil service, I talk about how will I be as a civil servant. While in preparation, I didn't indulge in all these discussions. What will I do? People ask me, sir, if this happens, I said, you come, I tell you. Right now, focus on your studies and get into this. So when I got into the civil service, then I was focused on becoming a good officer, and my definition of good officer is an efficient officer and developing leadership skills for that. As also to understand the job that you're doing. And if you have this attitude, because I keep focusing on this attitude part, attitude to learn from anybody, then you will learn. So I didn't have to be a health insurance expert to start a health insurance scheme. I didn't have to be a labor expert to be in labor department. I didn't have to be a coal expert to head the coal. I didn't have to be an educationist to become the secretary. I don't think that's required.
So before the next question, just I want to ask, sir. I know you got the highest in civil service interview when you got into IAS. And again, you are someone, I always feel that you be that mindset, that senior civil servant, you have spent, people like you are sitting in the board. And you are also grooming a lot of civil service aspirants in interview. So, what are the things they check in interview according to? How to score marks?
Okay, first of all, you must understand, anybody appearing for the interview this year,
They will not be
otherwise it won't be at this point in time irrelevant for you. Because I would rather talk to you about how do you prepare for the written exam. That's a separate topic. But they're overlapped. Let me explain this. Let me slightly digress and explain to you as how do you prepare for the written exam, and much of it will be relevant for the interviews. Okay. It will take about 5 minutes for me to explain, but let me explain it, you will find it useful. You know, there are 3 primary things that are required for preparation for the civil service. One is knowledge, the second is analytical skills, and the third is communication skills. Without knowledge, nothing can happen. But just knowledge will not help you, because if you look at the questions that are asked in the civil service exam, they are all analytical in nature. So you have to develop that art of analyzing your data that you have here, the information that you have here. You may have knowledge, you may have analytical skills, but if you are unable to write there in 3 hours, you are nowhere. Or in half an hour in the interview, you are unable to speak properly. So the key here is, how do you acquire that knowledge? Because it's very important. Sometimes someone was talking about working hard. You could be walking in a different direction also. You are working hard, but you are moving in the wrong direction. So what is the big deal? So you should know what to work hard on. And for that, I'm sure people who are guiding will be able to tell you to pick up the right books. You have to write only for half an hour. You don't have to become a research expert in every subject. But today, such books are available. For every topic, if you pick up a book, make that as your basic book. Don't make notes. Make that as your notes. And as you read that, try and first understand what is there. Don't try and learn without understanding. And as you understand, there will be some areas where you either feel you've not understood it correctly, or you think more information is required. Consult. I consult Google Uncle, and everything is available there. Not ChatGPT. Please don't go there. ChatGPT is all, half the information is wrong. So Google Uncle is, I've yet to discover it. You get those details, note it on a piece of paper and put it where the chapter is. Number 2, make points. So that when you revise, you don't have to read the whole thing. Just read the points and you'll recall what you read. That is knowledge. I'm not going into the details of it. Selection of the right book is utmost importance. Don't have to make notes. Try and understand if you learn. And then make small notes on sheets of paper as an addition to what is already there. So that when you revise, you have only one book for you. Don't consult 10 books. It's not worth it. Then how do you develop analytical skills? This is much more difficult. And since I was told you all of you are appearing this year, you don't have time to do that. But those appearing in 25 and 26, what I'm going to tell you will help. Analytical skills you develop by reading something which is analytical or having a conversation with people who are analytical in nature. For that, the simplest thing is every newspaper has an editorial page and there are 2-3 editorial articles. Read them regularly. Try and understand them. Because all these articles are very analytical in nature. Gradually, they will sink in your mind. This is what analysis is. Then most important is communication skills. And many people don't even care about it and end up messing up their exams. How do you improve your communication skills? Now, listen to this carefully. If you follow it, many people have benefited by the drill that I'm going to suggest to you. Pick up any newspaper that you read, open the editorial page, select one editorial article, stand in front of a mirror and read it aloud. Look, you might find it ridiculous. I did that. That's the difference between 55% and 80% marks. Read it aloud. Do it regularly without fail. It's like medicine. If you don't do it regularly, it's not done. Initially, you will curse me for this stupid practice. Later on, you will bless me. But initially, you will fumble, tumble. You will not be able to read, but read it. After you've read the entire article, put the paper down and speak it out in your own words. Again, you will fumble, tumble. You don't understand. You don't know what to speak, but do it. Record this on your phone. This is the most disturbing feature. I mean, I forgot to tell you. Keep it for 2 hours only with you or else give it to somebody else if you want to become a civil. Just don't keep it with you. Because these days, unfortunately, Valentine's days, birthdays, marriage days, Father's days, Mother's days, friend day. Every day is a day and you keep doing this. My granddaughter does this. Everyone does this. I can afford to do that. So, record these. Why? Because by recording, you will be able to recall where you went wrong and you will be able to correct it. And you will see the improvement over the years. Mark my words, within a month you will see an. Then, after you've read and spoken, write that in your own words, what you read. But the tragedy is you all want to write answers without knowing how to write. If you don't know how to write, how will you write an answer? So learn to write by this. Then you will be able to gradually able to recall, reframe, structure your thoughts in an organized manner, in a logical manner, in a rational manner. That's what is required in an answer. That's what is required in a personality test. What you speak has to be coherent, logical, rational, positive. When you write and read, you will recall what you're doing. Do that regularly every day. This is exercise number 1. Exercise number 2 is, which I'm suggesting to you, make WhatsApp group of 5 persons each year. And every day, this group will discuss a topic. Every day, one person among the 5 will be the lead speaker. He speak for 10 minutes and then others will contribute. Do that regularly. It will make your skills, it will make you think analytically, it will help you express yourself, it will improve your knowledge, it will improve your presentation, and it will provide a variety during the course of the day, because otherwise you are only reading. In the evening, you can have a discussion and have a time. So in short, this is all.
Sir, as we are preparing for civil service, both as an aspirant or even after becoming an officer, how do you handle failures? Because it actually takes long.
Wonderful question. Let me try and explain this. Wonderful question. I was wondering why this question. Give me one person on this earth who hasn't failed. Everyone fails. So take failures as a natural occurrence. Because if you don't do that, you will feel isolated. You will feel that I am the only person failing. Whereas I have yet to come across anybody who hasn't failed at some point in time in life. Successful are those that learn from those failures. Let me give you my personal example. When I did my class 12, I had physics, chemistry, maths as my subjects. So I didn't have to time work on my language. I could barely speak 5 sentences in English or Hindi or right. I could. So I worked on my language. I improved it. I became a debater. I started representing the university. So I used to go all over the country representing my university on debates. So IIT Kanpur has a national festival where they have debating competition. I was representing my university. One day before the debating competition, there was a music competition. So I thought I can sing also. Everyone thinks he can sing. So without practice, I gave my name to the competition. So 1,000 children like you sitting in front of me, my name was announced, everyone clapped. Yes, Mr. Swarup, I sat there, started singing, picked up the wrong note. Within 10 seconds, I was booed out by 1,000 strong students. You won't have had that experience. I've had that feeling. I came out of that hall totally shaken. And then I decided not to participate in the debate on the following day because the audience was going to be the same. So one of my seniors who came to me, he asked me, I understand that you're not participating in the debate tomorrow. Who's going to face this audience? My dear friend, you thought you were a tanse. Without practice, you went there and started singing. You would have failed. You must learn. Why did you commit that mistake? And then you're committing a second mistake by not participating in an event which you are prepared for. So after 1 hour, I overcame that and went and spoke on the following day. The moment my name was announced, everyone started shouting, Gaya Agya. They thought the same man as well, which indeed was the same man. But I had overcome my fears. I spoke and I won the first prize in national debating competition. Never looked back thereafter. So you failed. But I got up. I learned a lesson. In future, I never participated in any competition without preparation. That's the lesson from there. So learn from your failures. Failures are natural occurrences. Mistakes are very natural. When this gets into your mind, then you will take failure. Today, I can address any audience anywhere in the world. I do that. In the month of February, I am addressing 4 foreign universities in the US. Harvard, UC Berkeley. I am going to address them. I could care less. I can fail, but I prepare. I'll prepare and go. If I fail, so be it. Because failure is or success is not in my hand. Preparation is my hand. If I go unprepared, then it's my problem. That's what I do. So don't worry about failures. If you happen to read my book, Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant, you'll find my failures there. There are many failed stories there. So it's not all, I might appear to be, appearing to be very positive and successful here. I failed. In my last year of my service, a very senior officer resigned because I possibly couldn't protect him to the extent that I should have. He had to resign. So there are failures even there. Failures even now. So I am now taken in my stride.
So thank you so much, sir, for coming. And you are someone who goes and gives lectures in Harvard also, across India, everywhere, state academies. And sir is someone who goes frequently to Lavasna to give the current professional officers, present officers. So once we invited, you came all the way from Delhi, and I could understand you are someone who likes to connect with the people, spend time with youngsters, guiding them. So thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and coming and guiding our civil service aspirants from Officers IAS Academy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you found the interaction useful.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you.